Did your learner just read an entire chapter out loud and sound like a total pro, not missing a single word or step? But then when you go to ask what they actually read about, they look at you like you're speaking a foreign language? This video is for you. Hello, I'm Rebecca the Reading Hacker, and I'm a neurodivergent former struggling reader, dedicated to helping others crack the reading code and find confidence in reading. When learners read like a dream but don't understand what they're reading, this could be called empty reading. It's a silent crisis for thousands of learners throughout the world. Many people think it's a focus problem, but a lot of the times it ends up being a sentence level blackout. If their brain is blowing a fuse after just reading one sentence, they're never going to get to the big picture. Today I'm going to give you a secret weapon, the Maze assessment, to actually see if your learner is understanding what they read at the sentence level. This is part 2 of our 3-part series on how to figure out your child's reading profile and what you can do to help them become a better reader. In part 1, we went over the Oral Reading Fluency assessment, or ORF. We were able to look and see if students could actually read the words. But this is only half of the equation. We need to start with the golden rule of the science of reading. Word recognition times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. Remember, this is going to be our compass to figure out how or what exactly is going on with our struggling learners. The science of reading has been misunderstood sometimes to just only focus on phonics. And it's farthest from the truth on that. There's an entire half of the reading rope that has to do with language comprehension. And both sides of the equation, both sides of the rope, are just as equally important. If someone can read like a dream but can't understand what they're reading, that defeats the purpose of reading. Reading comprehension is trying to understand the big picture, trying to understand what's going on. But here's the catch. The working memory, which remember is our brain's work table, can only hold a few things in it at one time. Because take a look, this side of the reading rope, the language comprehension, has so many parts, and we haven't even talked about executive functioning when it comes into play with that. This side of the reading rope is so complex that it would take multiple videos to go over. So if you would like to know more about the language comprehension, or what specifically about language comprehension, please comment below. I would love to make a video on what you would like to know about language comprehension. The big stars of language comprehension, of course, are vocabulary and background knowledge. We've been talking a lot about it in the reading world. But don't forget syntax understanding the order our words are in, is so big, especially for our older struggling learners. Sentence level understanding gets so complicated once you get into middle school and high school and college. We start to have extended sentences, we have complex compound. It gets very, very, very complicated very quickly. So to check and see if the meaning side of the rope is working on all cylinders, we should be looking at something called the Maze assessment. Now, I'm going to tell you, the Maze assessment is not going to give you like a breakdown on, oh, they're struggling with this or vocabulary or background knowledge. No, this is a screening test. This is to see, all right, what's going on at the sentence level? Because if they can't understand beyond the sentence level, they're not going to be able to read the entire article. Think of it like this. If your learner can't handle the bricks, there's no way they're going to be able to build an entire story house with broken bricks. The Maze has been around since the 1970s when it was created to see how well students could handle difficult texts. All right, let's jump into the assessment. Okay, so what you're seeing here is an example of what Maze assessment is. But also, when you do some of these assessments, they usually come with a script, and it's very important you stick to the script because we want to make sure this is as standardized as possible. Okay, so you're going to have a timer, and it is set for 3 minutes. Okay, and this assessment's done completely through silent reading. They're not reading out loud. You can actually test an entire class of kids or just your own learner at home or in your tutoring client or whatnot. So what they'll do is they will read the sentences and circle the word that makes the most sense. So the children decided to build a grand fort in the backyard, blank, school. Was school, after school, blue school. Yeah, obviously the answer right here would be after school. So they would just circle the after school. They gathered old branches, blankets, and large cardboard boxes, all right, from the garage. Now, let's say they make an error, okay? Together, they would be worked, but let's say they put find for hours. All right, and then we're just going to circle something here, and I'm going to circle here because I want to show you how to grade this. All right, so I'm going to switch over to a different color here. So when you go to grade this, the way I go about grading this is I put a little check next to all the ones that are correct because you're going to be counting the correct and the incorrect, and there's going to be a formula you're going to follow. So so I'm going to put a check for the ones that are correct and an X for the ones that aren't, so I can easily count. So that's correct, that's not correct, that's correct, and that's not correct. All right. So as you see, I have 1, 2, 3. All right. So our formula is you're going to take the numbers of correct. All right. And then you're going to subtract that. And you're going to put this in the parentheses here. You're going to take the number that are not correct. And you're going to divide those by 2. All right. And then you're going to subtract. So let's take a look. 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 correct. And I have 1, 2 incorrect, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we have 3 minus 1, which means they would have got a score of 2 on this assessment. Okay. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot more, but that is basically how you will grade and you will assess. All right. So let me take you over and show you where some of these free resources are. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come on over here to Acadience. All right. So we're going to come right to their main page. I'm going to go to assessments. I'm going to go for reading. They do offer math assessments, but we're just going to go through the reading. Okay. We're going to come all the way down. I know you're going to want to click on all of these, but I don't want you to get lost. Okay. We're going to go to the resource hub. It will have something pop up for you to sign and put your email in so that you go by their licensing agreement. But all of these are free. As you can see, we have Acadience K-6. We have a reading diagnostic, math. They have Spanish and French, which can be also very helpful when you're working with English language learners. Spelling, they have a whole bunch here. So what you'll do is you'll just click on one of, you'll find the maze, and you will click on it and use it from here. Okay. So Acadience is really awesome. You can also get your oral reading fluencies from here as well. They have the benchmark. They also have the progress monitoring assessments. All right. And taking a look here, what their scoring looks like, you can kind of get this online as well. It'll tell you exactly where kids should be. You know, we have a benchmark. That's the black color right there. Okay. And it goes for everything: first sound fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, nonsense word, which I'll go over those in another video at another point. But we have our oral reading fluency here. Okay. Our maze is right down here. Okay. And it will tell you they actually only have maze for 3rd grade and above. All right. 3rd going all the way. Okay. They do have 7th and 8th. I want to pop back over real quick so you can take a look. All right. They do have 7th and 8th, but it's like in a different section there. And they have some nice silent reading assessments there as well beyond the maze. I might cover those in another video too. Let's jump over to DIBELS 8. Just, you know, DIBELS, Acadience used to be DIBELS and it was bought by Acadience. And so DIBELS 8 is still just DIBELS. It is the dynamic indicators of basic early literacy skills. That's what DIBELS stands for. And so what you'll do is you'll come here and they have the benchmark section and the progress monitoring section, which is really nice. And they have all the different directions of what you need to do. And this is what you'll use. When you click on a grade level, it'll come up with maze and oral reading fluency. You'll have the students' paper and yours as well. And all the instructions that you need. Okay. And then taking a look, they have their, what their benchmarks are, and they have everything that goes all the way up through 8th grade. Hey, if you really like learning more about reading and how to help struggling learners, please make sure you subscribe below. It'll help the channel. Also, make sure you comment below what you would like to see me film about. I love getting new ideas and seeing what you guys out there want to learn about. So Acadience online and DIBELS 8 both offer free, absolutely free Maze assessments, and they offer benchmarking and progress monitoring. Remember in our last video we talked about how benchmarking is done 3 times a year, just kind of seeing how the kids are going, and progress monitoring is what we'll use if we're doing an intervention. So you can use Maze for that. Now I will say I have found it a little difficult sometimes to use Maze for progress monitoring when it comes to specific skills. Now if you want to see if a child is increasing in their understanding, that works out well. But if you're looking like, oh, how is their vocabulary increasing? How is their syntax increasing? Like you want specifics, that's typically not where I would suggest to go with. However, I will tell you that when I have kids in my reading groups or in my private, with my private clients, I'm able to use Maze to progress monitor along with ORF. And typically, remember, typically, not everybody, but typically, as ORF goes up, reading fluency, the Maze also tends to go up as well. I typically find that this is a kind of a struggle with kids that have major gaps. So it's important to find out what level that every student is at in order to properly progress monitor them at that level. Let me give you an example, okay? If you have a student who has a 4 to 5 year gap, they're reading at an independent first grade level, and they are at a 5th, 6th, or 7th grade level, and you continually progress monitoring them at a 6th, 7th grade level, you're probably not going to see much movement because you're working on certain things that they're missing. You're working on those K through 3 phonics, those kind of parts. So make sure you do something called a survey level assessment, which means you work backwards. You give the test at each level, and you keep going backwards until they hit the benchmark number. And let me explain what this means. So if I have a 7th grader and I give them the 7th grade Maze test or the 7th grade ORF test, and they don't score what DIBELS or what Acadience says a 7th grader should score, then I go and I give the 6th grade test and I look to see if they make the 6th grade number. And if they don't, I keep going backwards until they make that number, because that's the independent level. Now that's not where I'm going to progress monitor. I'm going to progress monitor the number next. So if they make the 2nd grade level, that means we're going to be working in progress monitoring at 3rd grade level. That's what a survey level is. It's going backwards. We want to be able to see if what we're working on is actually moving the dial. And sometimes progress monitoring with those higher tests is just not going to move the number. It's not going to move it. All right, so now you have 2 free assessments that you're able to give kids to figure out if it's a word recognition problem or a language comprehension problem or both. All right, in the next video, we're going to put these together and talk about different learners' reading profiles, because different profiles need different interventions. If we take time to measure whether a student is understanding the meaning of what they're reading, anything can happen. So go ahead, crack the code, and unlock the reader.